Hello, my friends, and welcome back. Thank you very much for being with me again today. As we all know, the use of chemical weapons in warfare or anywhere is illegal under the international law. So, regardless who might be doing that, that should be penalized. Correct? Correct. Unless we ignore the international law. Now we know the Russians are ignoring it, and then we know the good guys are not. Al Capone never ignores the international law. So what's going on here? Maybe some of you know, maybe you don't, that the Russians claimed when they took over Ukrainian territory, let's put it this way, that they found some chemical labs, according to the Russians, operated by the United States military, with some research done on some bad viruses and tralala lululu. Go and look into that. Well, obviously the US denied. The press in the United States of America and in the free world kind of ignored that those reports, which, as I said, come from the Russians. Nevertheless, don't you think that some attention is required if these guys are saying, hey, wait a minute, this guy did some bad research in Ukraine? I think it should have required some attention. Now the Russians come and say that not only that the Americans are still operating chemical laboratory, military laboratory in Ukraine as of now, remember this is what the Russians claim, and or also they say that Ukraine is using US-made chemical weapons in Ukraine. These are Russian claims, and then the Russians came in front of OPCW, which is the, let me read it for you, Organization for the Prohibition of Chemical Weapons, and make the claim, lay down the, I would say, their evidence. So let's see if or what evidence the Russians have. Let's start with the first article coming from Russia Today. Ukraine using US-made chemical weapons. Russian diplomat. Their development is a direct violation of international law, Moscow envoy to the OPCW has said. Ukraine has repeatedly used chemical weapons provided by the US against the Russian military, a senior diplomat claimed, that's the right word, on Monday in an interview with the newspaper Izvestia. Vladimir Tarabrin, Moscow permanent representative to the Organization for the Prohibition of Chemical Weapons, OPCW, and ambassador to the Netherlands, noted that the use of chemical weapons is a flagrant violation of international law. It seems like it depends who violates it. And I'm quoting, over the course of the special military operation, we have recorded cases of Ukraine's armed forces deploying chemical weapons manufactured in the US. End quote. Tarabrin said, saying that the deliveries are part of a well-established and illegal scheme of sending non-lethal chemical weapons to Kiev. These are claims. He stressed that the use of toxic chemicals by Ukraine has become systemic, as Western backing allows Kiev to violate international law with impunity. According to Tarabrin, the Ukrainian military uses various types of homemade ammunition. Homemade like in a house or homemade like domestic. Grenades and containers with unknown substances against the Russian forces. Wow, you don't know the substances. Okay. The Chemical Weapons Convention, CWC, an arms control treaty administrated by OPCW, an intergovernmental organization's headquarters in The Hague, was adopted in 1993 and came into force 4 years later. As of August 2022, 193 states has signed the treaty. That means all of them, I'm guessing, right? Ukraine has ratified the document and accepted all its obligations. The convention bans all member states from producing, acquiring, and stockpiling chemical weapons, as well as transferring them directly or indirectly. The signatories are also banned from using such weapons. The diplomat stressed that Moscow is attracting the attention of international organizations, especially the OPCW, to the violations. And I'm quoting, I think the US and its dependents can only be stopped by maximum transparency. the identification of specific facts that show that they directly supply or facilitate the supply of these substances to Ukraine in violation of CWC. Well, we find out, is that true or not? Now here, Russia's defense ministry has repeatedly accused Kiev of preparing provocations with the use of chemical weapons. So did the Ukrainians, including acts on the territory of Ukraine. Last April, the ministry claimed that Ukraine's security services, SBU, was plotting such a provocation with the use of hazardous chemicals in the city of Sumy in northeastern Ukraine. Kiev has denied the accusations. Well, very kind of flimsy, but hey, these guys accuse. So let's go and see the next article coming from Russia Today and from the same date, the 25th of March 2024. US still operating biolabs in Ukraine. Russian envoy claims, right? Washington is trying to hide its own activities by blocking Moscow's push for tougher controls, the diplomat claims. The US continues, the Russians claim, correct? The US continues to operate 30 biolabs, not 31, not 29, on the territory of Ukraine as part of an illegal military biological program, Russia's envoy to the Netherlands has claimed. The number of American laboratories on Ukraine territory has been and I'm quoting, well known for a long time. Well, I don't like these kind of things. We know, well known, the same guy, Tarabrin, who is also Russia's primary representative to the Organization for Prohibition of Chemical Weapons, OPCW, said in an interview with the same guys. Same guys that tell us here, and it says that the diplomat recalled that the head of Russia's Nuclear, Chemical and Biological Protection Forces, Lieutenant General Igor Kirillov, had claimed in March 2022, I told you, that 30 such biolabs existed. And I'm quoting, our armed forces discovered documents confirming the extensive military biological program deployed by the US and NATO countries on the territory of Ukraine and other former Soviet republics, end quote, he said. The Kiev government allegedly began destroying dangerous pathogens and laboratories and suspending research on February 24, 2022, the day Russia launched its military operation against Ukraine. But in 2023, the implementation of those programs resumed. Only their name was changed, he claims. Asked if the number of the US biolabs in Ukraine still stands at 30, the ambassador said, according to our data, yes. And I'm quoting, it's not surprising, therefore, that over the past 20 years, Washington has been blocking all Russian initiatives aimed at strengthening the Biological Weapons Convention regime and creating an effective... Okay, wait. Well, and it says here, over the past 2 years, Moscow has repeatedly raised concerns over an alleged, that's the word, network of secretive US-funded laboratories in Ukraine, publishing troves of documents captured from Kiev authorities, which it claims, again, good word, are linked to the operations of those facilities. Last April, Kirillov said Russia had, and I'm quoting, no doubt that the US, under the guise of ensuring global biosecurity, conducted dual-use research, including the creation of biological weapons components in close proximity to Russian borders. Well. So, Kirillov also said a year ago that the US biolab program in Ukraine, which was previously known as Joint Biological Research, was rebranded as Biological Control Research so that it could continue its operation. Do they have biolabs over there? Possible? Yeah. Probable? I would give it 50-50. That's one. But obviously the Russians will claim that, the Ukrainians will deny it, the Americans will keep their mouth shut, or maybe just deny one time if they even bother. I don't know. The Western media so far is kind of keeping quiet, is not interested in this kind of information. I didn't look over the documents, obviously, so I don't know if those documents are fake or legit, and I don't know what kind of documents they have. You should have some physical evidence as well, not only some documents. I mean, documents could be forged easily, including the ones from the Second World War. You know what I mean? No. Okay. It's all right. If you do, then you're on the right track here with me. So nevertheless, I think more attention should be given to this kind of labs, but I think that they want to make the connection between because of the Luhan situation, where you remember these guys tried to figure things out and you couldn't because, all right, so the same here. I think these guys do a lot of research on that kind of pathogens, but that's just a gut feeling. Why do I think that? Just because it's a gut feeling? Because you know, it's done. It has been done before, and if you think that the governments are just doing what's legal over there, I'm very skeptical. Just put it mildly. All right, my friends, we'll find out with time if indeed chemical weapons were used, are used, and these guys have some illegal biolabs in Ukraine. Thank you very much for being with me again today. Stay strong, stay smart, look for the truth, and be just.